Those propane ones?
No. It's electric. I found it down in Memphis, Tennessee. My first year I was retired. We were down there. It's awesome.
Yeah, are
So,
you gonna have like a little fire though when it gets real cold?
oh yeah, I got
Yeah,
a little fire picnic. I could swing right around over here if I wanted to, but I'm good.
That's funny.
podcast by the fire.
Well, guys, welcome to yeah, just welcome. It's the second week of like high school wrestling season, second or third week of college wrestling. Do you guys get to watch any college wrestling this week?
Oh boy,
I
60
watched,
upsets.
yeah, I watched some of the matches from the Journeyman. I watched Vito get beat. Uh, whatever Flow covers, I try to click on and watch a little bit of everything.
I watched the Ohio State Virginia Tech duel. That was a pretty good one. I thought that was
Yeah, Ohio State pulled out the win there. I don't think they were favored.
yeah, and they dominated pretty good. But when I think back to the national tournament, like I think like that's like there were a lot of like quarterfinal matchups or round of 12 matches. Not like super one seeds or two seeds, it was like 6 versus
Yeah.
12 or something like that.
Well, you had the big match was Lewis and Karchla or Karcha, whatever it is. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that was a good one. That could be a national finals match. And what do you guys think about the 3-point takedown so far?
Oh, I love it. It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It's a game changer for sure. I think it puts a little more emphasis on getting those takedowns.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, yeah, I like it. I think I watched Jesse Mendez get a tech fall super quick. Obviously, it's making some things happen a little more urgent, especially the higher level guys. It seems, but yeah, I like it. I'm a big fan of it. If only they could just adopt it right away for high school. Like, how long do you think it's gonna wait?
I'll probably another 10 years. Who knows, right? I mean, it should be right away. So
It's,
should
Yeah,
the edge, so should the edge of the mat.
yeah,
All
yeah,
that, I mean, it's all those things should be in the high school level, but
yeah.
the problem is those officials, and I'm going to throw Giardini out there. He does a lot of college. Then he'll do some high school here and there. I think it's troubling for him because he's used to college. Edge, you
Right.
wrestle on the edge, and you get to high school. Oh, wait, you're out of bounds here. I mean, they
We'll have to actually.
simplify it all for everybody.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him. Like, we'll have to get him on because I've been
Yeah.
meaning to reach out to him, but we should have him on and talk about the how to change going back from going to college and then to high school all in the same
Well,
week.
and ask him if he really knows what the word retirement means,
Yeah,
because he tells me every year he's retired from. He's just doing video reviews, and then he's back up at the Michigan State Open. And
yeah.
but
He, you,
joking aside, he's still one of the top officials around, I believe.
yeah. Let's talk Iowa. Your neck of the woods, Marty. Luther College. They had an open tournament this weekend.
that's like
Like,
my neck of the woods, only 25 miles from my hometown.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
used to have to,
Luther.
yeah, I had to drive 25 to Luther to go to a movie to
Yeah,
Decorah. Yeah.
yeah. How cool do you
Okay.
think it is with the fact that open tournament is I mean way bigger than I wrestled it 2007. I don't know, it wasn't that.
I wrestled it in 1983 at Luther
Yeah.
when I wrestled for Loris. Yep. I
But like
wrestled
how
the
big of
Luther.
how big of an event that was for like the lineup questions, like,
Yeah.
maybe in the past you always kind of knew the lineup, but there's always sometimes situations where, whether it's the Loris Open, I think there's a couple Iowa Opens where, Iowa sends a couple of the guys and you're basically finding out the wrestle off because they do wrestle offs more than obviously once or whatever. Well, this week that kind of happened again, but
Well, am I this the first time I was kind of sent their full lineup there? I mean, usually it's a hand mix, but this time it seemed like they sent the guys.
did
That's
Real
You know,
Woods
no
because
one.
wrestle?
Yeah.
that's because they're now short guys and they got to figure out who the heck's going to be wrestling. And why not put them in a real live scenario and let them
Yeah.
wrestle each other?
Well, actually,
Yeah.
you know what? I was listening to John Smith talk, and I think there's something to do with the rankings where they have to have a certain percentage of matches at a certain time or whatever. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure there's something to do with rankings where the guys have to have certain amount of matches during segments of to get ranked accordingly. So
Well, obviously,
I,
because back in the day, those guys used to wrestle 40, 45 times. Now you see records with just 20 matches. And
yeah.
I was a big proponent of that, where they kind of don't wrestle as much as they used to. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but
yeah. Well,
yes, you
Well,
have to have
no,
Penn State.
I
yeah.
say I thought John Smith at one point was talking just try to limit wrestling just to second semester only competition.
I doubt he was just talking about probably the season
Yeah,
itself. Yeah. But
yeah,
like the open tournaments, these guys are wrestling 12 months out of the year, most of them. Whether they're competing depends on their juniors, seniors in college. The juniors, seniors, and then obviously some of the younger wrestlers are wrestling 12, 12 months out of the year most of the time. So the season I think is different because like you see Ohio State, they went to Virginia Tech and then they came home and wrestled Bucknell, I think, or Bucknell, and then
No,
which one was it?
oh my God, I
Edinburgh,
watched it. Oh,
Edinburgh,
they wrestled Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Yeah.
And
So
that was an extremely disappointing thing for Edinburgh, because Edinburgh out east is they send guys to the nationals and have all Americans, and they got shut out bad.
yeah,
It was very disappointing.
yeah. But either way, just in that idea, like they're traveling, they're cutting weight, they're wrestling, tough opponents. Like people get injured, and these wrestlers, they don't know how to they don't think like when you think about them competing. Obviously, this is what is such a testament to the old school guys because they they just were built different. There were different types of athletes back in the past as opposed to now. But like Mark, I mean, so many people won national and somebody will still win a national tournament with injuries. It's just I think people are trying to prevent getting to the national tournament with an injury. So they kind of pick and choose a little bit differently.
well, and
It
I
is.
think
Go ahead. Go ahead,
I was
Dan.
just going to say the sport has changed the amount of scrambling and the wear and tear they put on their body just in this one match was a scrambling. I think guys are
Yeah.
worried
I don't
now.
know. I think these
They
guys have
never.
always you ever watch Kerry Collette back in the day? He used to get the matches would get stopped because he would bend his knee so much.
Yeah,
So there was a
but
lot of that stuff.
they let it go a lot more now than they did back in those days.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, it cost. I mean, even in freestyle, I think it was the one Brands. I mean, they stopped the match there when he was pulling the knee, and I don't think
Well,
they would never do that now. I mean,
yeah.
it's
Don't you think that
more wear and tear. I think that's my opinion. I don't know.
Marty, go ahead.
What?
What do you think? What
Toughness?
No, but
Well,
it's not
I'm old school.
but these
Old
guys are
school.
tough, but don't you
Oh,
think
they're
that
tough, yeah.
don't
But
you guys think that it's not necessarily that they're not I don't think that athletes are having less or more injuries than ever before. What I think is the Nationals has more of a it's more important than ever before. And so winning nationals or winning All-Americans, like getting that team to be in a position and then the individuals to be in a position, I just think it's more significant. So they're putting more emphasis on those tournaments. Therefore, they're preparing to not try to, send a guy to the Big Ten with a torn ACL or, something like that.
I mean, it's you got to live under a rock if you don't realize that the Big Ten dual meet season is brutal,
Yeah.
and then the Big Ten tournament is brutal, and you definitely don't want some of your guys being injured before you get into even the into the Big Ten dual meets. I mean, when January comes, it's twice a week that you're wrestling the best in the country. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is. I mean, even if you wrestle a team that's not as high level as, there's still those teams, Maryland and Rutgers and all those teams, they beat everybody else up. It's just that the Big Ten's just a grinder, but that's the Big Ten. It's been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
forever.
Yep.
But I mean, I think the wrestling looks. I think college wrestling, from my perspective, is it's growing on the internet. Like I'm an internet guy, you know, that's kind of what I kind of do, and just looking at all of the different types of media that are kind of coming around college wrestling and stuff. I really think that in the next 10 years, it's going to be a wild ride as far as like fan engagement, popularity, just growth of participation. It is going to be a good decade for wrestling.
I mean, it's kind of ironic.
Hopefully.
Kind of ironic you said this, because I was just telling Marianne yesterday, because Iowa State wrestled Davison on Big Ten or ESPN Plus. It was live at Iowa State. So if you go to, well, first of all, Iowa and Iowa State are going to wrestle the first dual meet of a Division I team on ESPN next weekend. Okay, but right now you can get ESPN Plus, Flow, Big Ten Plus, and now UFC Plus has wrestling on it too. So there's 4 avenues of where there's almost a meet 3 nights a week if you want to watch one. And I've got all of them. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. The networks are growing, you know, and then on top of that, the local networks, like what we're doing right now, as a podcast, is a network. We're communicating about particular a particular thing. Again, I don't know how much we will broadcast matches. They're less entertaining than the Division I matches, but there might be opportunities to showcase matches. That's for sure. But yeah, networks are growing. Yeah, it's all. I think it. Yeah, I mean, UFC. Think about it, in less than 5 years, like last couple of years. Have you guys? That's why I really want to go to the NCAA tournament this year. I'm thinking more and more about trying to figure out how to get to Kansas City, at least for the final day or the final 2 days or something. But it'd be hard not to do the whole experience. But I do think that it's going to start becoming an event that people. I mean, last year the president was there, but thinking about like how Bo Nickel is this, you know, he's this UFC superstar, and then obviously Daniel Cormier. Like soon, potentially, Joe Rogan might show up to the NCAA tournament. These types of figures will kind of like throw, I don't know, gas on a fire, I think, to the popularity of the sport. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I was talking with Danny Martinez about this because he's seen numbers up again this year at the high school level, and he just kind of asked why. We went through, and I go, really, I think UFC has a lot to do with a lot of it because the success wrestlers have at that level at the MMA, and UFC is a driving force behind it. And you got, I don't even know how many other Bellator, all these organizations. You look, a lot of their champions or their top contenders are guys you remember from college wrestling. So
yeah, Hananiga wrestling, some of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean
Or
you look, it's like you say, it will be interesting as they keep moving on and getting more and more people showing up to the NCAA's. It's going to keep building that interest level. These are your future champions, not only in the Olympics, but you're going to watch them fight on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And it's good, like a Bo Nickel. I mean, he's a good ambassador for the sport of wrestling. It'll be interesting to see some of these other guys when their careers are over. I mean, I know Burroughs has always kind of hinted around that he would get into it. I don't know how much he would, but I mean, can you imagine a guy like Jordan Burroughs getting into the UFC and
Let
now
me tell
being
you,
champ there?
So I guess you haven't watched the Flow Wrestling this last week. David Taylor was on, and
No, I didn't watch.
yeah, and so David Taylor was Ben Askren was pitching a fight to David Taylor. David Taylor versus Jordan Burroughs fight, MMA fight on UFC Fight Pass, right? So like obviously They're great wrestlers. So like if they
Right.
wanted to get in MMA, I'd probably watch it. I think the thing about MMA is interesting is because there's a part of it that's a combat sport. Like for me, I'm a martial artist. I train it. I still participate in like the how it works type thing. But like, you know, other people just watching people punch each other in the face or taking people down. And so like people will watch that, and once that happens, it'll introduce a whole group of people. But maybe we'll get that Jordan Burroughs, um, David
Taylor
Taylor.
fight.
Yeah.
After the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most likely, right? When's
It's
the Olympics? This cycle is this year,
this
right?
summer.
Yeah,
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, Burroughs has to make that cut back down to 74 if he wants to make the Olympic team.
he already made it. He
Yeah, I
wrestled.
mean, but he's
He's
going
got
to
to
have
keep
to
it.
beat out
Yeah,
uh, Dake. I mean,
yeah,
and others. I mean, I think that's the crazy thing is you have the worlds that has what is it, 9 or 10 weight classes, then they go to the Olympics and they cut it almost in half. And I mean, some of these guys, it's either bulk up or cut down or move to a different country. I guess I don't know.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think we're going to see more of that, don't you?
Yeah,
With the Olympics because of all the, yeah, I definitely, yeah, and
I
without a
mean,
doubt. I don't blame them, right?
I mean, that's the only way
if
that,
that's your ultimate goal. I mean,
Right,
look
well,
at Stefan Micic. I mean, why wouldn't you? The guy's a world finalist
right.
yeah.
for his country, and in the
Well,
U.S. I mean, it's a coin flip if he's the guy
but doesn't
to
it suck?
represent.
Doesn't it still like the whole fact that if you look at the Olympics, they'll add, some other sport that's not even a sport or something. I just
Flag
saw,
football.
yeah, flag
Are we?
football.
What's going on here? We got 3-on-3 basketball in the
Well,
Olympics,
here's the
flag
sad part.
football, and you
Pickleball,
get rid of like what is going on? I don't.
They're selling advertising.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, it's all product for entertainment, right? And unfortunately, I don't fortunately or unfortunately, I don't really know which one it is, but so that is going to be, I mean, ultimately I think wrestling could argue to get more weight classes, just because if the popularity goes up, maybe people want to watch more of it so they could sell advertising on it. But like the people who run the Olympics seem to be like, I don't know, it just seems to be very commercialized, if
well,
that's yeah.
it
yeah.
all evolved around, they were going to drop the wrestling from the Olympics. So they made a pact and they decided, hey, we'll have women's wrestling too as well. But if we're going to have women's wrestling, we're taking weight classes away from
Yeah.
and it's the best thing that ever happened because now there's women wrestling in the Olympics, but the guys could go back and get like 8 weight classes to 10 weight classes again because it's just there's so many guys who aren't Olympians because they can't make the weights.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
And or the fact that, I mean, that's just more spots. There's 4 more of the most elite athletes, right? Like whether it's Burrow, I mean, yeah, it would just be nice to
And
have 4 more.
it's not just in the U.S. I mean, it's
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
worldwide.
do you think do you think there will be a few? I think so. I'm asking, I guess, what do you foresee like there being a future world level competition? Will it ever be the same as the Olympics, or just would you view it equally the same?
like the World Championships.
Well, so everything is held up, like the World Championships is run by UWW, which is an organization that's separate from the Olympics. Then the Olympics runs the Olympics every 4 years. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the Olympics is becoming less of a it's a showcase event, that's for sure. People are going after it, but World Championships is every 3 years as opposed to wait. I mean, I
The
guess
World Championships are every year.
yeah, I know. I guess what I'm saying
Oh,
is,
except
yeah,
for Olympic year.
right.
yeah, like I
Yep.
guess people are getting notarized. Like like the other day I was looking who won a world title or Olympic title. Now I was like confused. I was like, I know he won the gold, but I can't remember whether or not it was a video from the Worlds or the Olympics. You know what I
You
mean?
know,
Yeah.
they have the World Cup too. And
Yeah.
I went last year. It was in Iowa City last year in the beginning of December. and they just promoted it all having 2-year contract. So Marianne and I got rooms at this hotel we stayed at last time because we know it's the weekend of the World Cup. And then it's at the Extreme Center in Iowa City or in Coralville. And I'm looking at it and looking at the schedule. I'm like, where in the hell is the World Cup? So finally, Marianne sends an email to the Extreme Center, and all the countries didn't want to come back because it's an Olympic year. And even like the United States had issues with it because they just had the
world
world
champion.
champ. Yes, and they didn't want to make a weigh in because now these guys aren't just it's just not another world championship, it's the Olympics. So these guys are making drops and they don't want to wrestle when they're cutting weight. So there is no World Cup this year.
Okay.
And it was so freaking awesome last year. It was almost as good as the NCAA tournament.
And what do you think made it that way?
The culture.
Okay.
Oh my God, the countries and just the different countries and their backings. It was great. It was such a fun time.
Yeah.
It was a hidden gem last year.
That's cool. Well, so how much of that stuff do you think, this is a little bit of a transition to back to high school stuff and local stuff. Like how much do you think that is important to focus on when we think about like local competitions? Like the event itself where you, like Marty, you said, you know, that was really cool, right? So like dual meets and like, you know, that component of like an event versus like a competition or something.
Well,
I think.
go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead.
No,
Well,
you go.
I was just going to say anything that you can help to enhance the promotion of the event and the sport itself is good, you know, and you know, you just, unless you're a true fan of wrestling, you show up to a gym and two teams just go out there and get after it. You're probably not, I don't know, as enthused about it as a true wrestling fan would be. So there's other things that can do to help promote it. You know, I think it gets kids interested in it, you know. I don't know.
Go ahead, Marty.
I think me being I was in it deeply into the sport and everything. I still am. I follow everything, but I don't see anything about dual meets coming up. Like it's next week. The season starts on Wednesday night for a lot of schools in our conference. You would think it's social media is such an easy thing to do, just to put it out there and say, hey, this is a dual meet with me.
That's my job. I did it. Didn't you see?
Well, yeah, you did. You did it, but how about?
But that's our job. That's what we're gonna do.
Well, actually, it's not just your job. It's the school's job to promote their sports.
Sure, but it's
Right.
a, you know, I'm pretty good at like coming up with systems and stuff. They would have to like hire somebody to do it. So
It wouldn't take much just to put out there, hey, Hananiga and East are wrestling next Wednesday. It's alumni night.
I mean, they all have Twitter accounts. They all have a Facebook account.
But who are they sending it to?
They just put it out on their page, and whoever follows them sees it.
Who's that?
Sure.
How
But they're not gonna
for the RR Star to ever do anything again? I mean,
well, they're done. This is the medium of like the website and the posting on social and stuff. That's just the new generation. This is how it is. The I'm not necessarily talking about promotion of it, because I think the promotion is changing altogether, right? Like it's just happening different. Things are good. I think, like I said, we have pretty good participation. This will be the first opportunity that there's ever been where there's a conversation going around potential lineups, right? So I talked to a local coach this weekend and basically just like, hey, what I want to do to promote this next event is, or the dual meet between, say, for instance, Hananiga and East. What I'm going to do is I want to have a podcast with the coaches to kind of like find out the lineups, the potential lineups. And then you and I, or us, we get to actually talk about it. And then obviously after the competition, we're going to get to evaluate and see what the potential situation is in the future, whether it's a conference whether it's an in-conference competition between two guys at the same weight, or if it's a team, or if it's somebody outside looking at state titles and stuff. This is the first year it's ever been able to happen, right? And you think about back in the day, so many matchups, right? And obviously the one that comes to mind is when, what is it, Steve Neely, Grant Miller, Jim Swanson were all in the same weight class, right?
Yep.
Like, like there was no other conversation but the conversation that was happening at the, like, people were talking about it, but no media was like talking about it the whole entire time. It was just at one particular moment of the year, which I'm sure they did tons of paper stories about that, but they didn't do it like ESPN does it every week. They talk about Aaron Rodgers every week. They talk about the Packers or the 49ers and stuff. Now people are talking about all types of things. We're going to talk about the athletes from each team, right? Like it would be insane for a high school to sit down and like pay attention to the competitions and the individuals on it. It would,
Going back to that Steve Neely, Grant Miller, and Jim Swanson, in the semifinals, we were wrestling Jim Swanson, and they were wrestling. Neely was wrestling a kid from Hersey High School, and we wrestled them as a sophomore. And Grant was winning like 10-2, and the dude had the most vicious headlock I've ever seen. But I forgot to tell Perry about it. And he hit it. Did you? Oh, he hit it hard.
He did.
He pinned Grant Miller 2 years earlier.
Ooh.
wow. Yeah, that was a crazy weight class. But either way, the media stuff, I think the promotion of the sport is everything's perfect. I don't think anything too major needs to change. It's just going to progress. What I was talking about is the component of like the spectacle of like what you were talking about. The reason why when you went in the arena, all the different fans had cheering sections. They had like orchestrated cheers, right? They were all on the same page collectively. Like locally, we're depending upon like families and stuff who come to watch the competitions. So it's not really like a fandom type thing. Maybe in football it's a little easier to do, but we're I think there's a lot to creating an event and the people, because there's a lot as a high school coach, you're focused on weigh-ins, you're focused on lineups, you're focused on like setting up the gym and tearing down the gym. You're focused on all that stuff. Who's focused on like what the music is? Who's focused on like where the fans get to stand up? All that type of stuff. Obviously, the athletic director focuses a lot of that, but they're not creating an event necessarily, are they?
Hey, so are we going next Wednesday night?
Yeah. Okay. So there's just a list of duels and stuff that I plan on covering or focusing on. So the first one that we're going to talk about, I'm going to go to Harlem High School, I think Thursday or Friday, and do some video at practice, mic up Coach Messink and kind of just like follow him around, get a little insight about the lineup. And then East versus Hononegah, I want to have I think Gene Lee, hopefully we'll get Gene on, and maybe we'll hear from Tyler and talk about the duel, maybe where the lineup is and where they're at. So yeah, that's the plan. And what were you saying, McNames, before that? Oh, just about numbers. And yeah, so the numbers this year seem to be pretty good. And obviously a lot of it's inexperience, but
I mean, Harlem sounded like what Tommy said, their numbers were pretty good. Gene said he had pretty solid numbers, and Hononegah's, I think, are up, Marty. I mean, pretty solid.
I don't know. It's been so nice. I've been golfing. I have no idea.
Marty, I went golfing today.
Did you?
Yeah. I saw your truck.
Saw
your truck. I went out at 11:30.
I got a bad back. I'm going in. I can't wait till I get to go see Dr. Dahlberg and get an injection, and then I get to go back in and have a high frequency radio ablation in my back.
Then you're all set after that?
Well, hopefully. Too many years of walking around like a monkey.
Yeah.
Right? And in the wrestling stance.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like my wrestling is keeping my body fit. Like I feel like.
Oh yeah. And how old are you?
exactly.
Mhm.
Give it another 20.
Oh, it's not even, no, that's more than that.
I'm 36, guys.
Yeah, so yeah,
I
I'm
wrestled.
sick. I'm gonna be 60.
Yeah.
Oh, you're old.
No. It's just the best part of your life. Dan, when you get to be 60 and you retire, it's the greatest part of your life.
Yeah. Well, I got 6 more to go.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes fast.
Then you can, well, the
Not
golf,
fast
you
enough
could,
right now, Marty.
hey,
What?
Not fast enough.
I
yeah.
was saying, do you want us both there on Tuesday? You want me to go come down on Tuesday to Harlem? I mean,
Listen,
it would make my skin crawl
yeah, yeah.
to go down and watch two of the teams.
Where's it?
Well,
Is it at Jefferson though?
no, it's at Harlem from what I
It's
think.
at Harlem?
That's what it said on this.
Okay. I knew, I just saw it said Harlem Jefferson. I
Again,
didn't see where it was at.
just looking at the schedule, this is one of the hard parts about following wrestling, I think. And this is why, literally last year I wanted to make this website just because I didn't know where the duel was happening. Right. Like I looked at a school's website, it was wrong. So I made the schedule off the information that I was given, and Gene said he was going to check, but I'm just going to keep double checking. But as
Yeah.
you guys know, things switch and change sometimes. So
Yeah.
hopefully I don't make too many mistakes, but
The
I think
tough
it's at
thing
Harlem.
is at high school and some of these early duels, some kids aren't certified yet. They're not at the weights, so you get a lot different duel than you would later in the year.
Yeah.
They've gone, practice started last Monday. They get 2 weeks of practice, and getting some football players back in. The teams made the playoffs. So the early season duels sometimes are rather misleading, but they're also pretty entertaining, I think, because you get some crazy matchups.
Yeah.
I will say something, Dalton, though, that what you're doing is incredible because this area has just been forgotten about wrestling for quite a long time, and then there's some kids that are gonna be pretty good, and there's some teams that are gonna be pretty good. And what you're doing the right thing because obviously none of the newspapers are gonna ever really take control like they used to. And what you're doing is that's how people understand the sport, and that's how the sport's built. I think it's awesome. If you want me to come on Tuesday, it's going to cost you, but I think maybe I should just wait till Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, again, maybe McNames and I can set up on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday you and I can set up.
I don't know about.
Well, either way,
make Tuesday.
Okay. Well, either way, you guys don't have to feel obligated. I'll make it. But what I'm going to be there and cover what happened, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll focus on the athletes that did well, and hopefully I have some footage of the something to talk about. Yeah, and so we'll be there. So anything else, guys? We'll let
Nothing.
you go.
No.
Marty, we're gonna start extending these podcasts to see if you can really withstand the cold.
You know what? Extend it because I'll make it all year.
I believe it.
For it.
You'll
can't
have
wait
those.
Hey, you see
those big gloves on?
Illinois and
Yeah.
America needs farmers. I'm going to the Illinois and Iowa game this weekend. So
Where's it at?
Iowa.
Iowa. Cool.
Yeah.
It should be a fun one, and the weather's gonna be great, right?
It is going to be great. It's going to be 60 degrees. Otherwise, Marianne wouldn't go. Yeah.
Well,
I'm having back issues though too. I'm playing another day tomorrow. I might try to play.
Marty, you better heal up over this winter. McNames says he's gonna join the golf
I'm gonna
league.
get the county pass, so
You are? Oh,
I think so.
Perfect.
I'm telling you, we might have a little golf league out there capable of happening.
That'll be perfect. I love it. Well, I'm going to continue it because we're going places where it's warm.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
We'll get healed up,
Yeah.
get stretched out. Make sure you do your yoga in the morning. And
yes.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Namaste. See ya.
See ya.